today's class we are going to start with a new chapter. The name of the chapter is The Basis of Human Behavior. So in this chapter we are going to study about how behavior happens, what are the reasons for the behaviors that we display in our day-to-day lives. So we will be learning about it. Human beings, also known as Homo sapiens, sapiens means the wise men, are the most developed organism of all the creatures on earth. There are millions of species on earth, and we the human beings are the most developed ones. Our brains are highly developed and complex, and we have a whole system which is more developed and complex than other organisms in the world. Okay, so that's why we can think, we can perceive, we can memorize in a way that other species or other organisms in the world they are unable to do. So we have a different nervous system, a whole different ways to interact to the environment. We have unique forms of behavior. So in this chapter we will learn the structure and functions of our brain and nervous system and how they influence our behavior, and also we will be studying about the cultural perspective which contributes to human behavior. Okay, so I'm sure that about evolutionary perspective you must have studied till class 10 in your science book. Okay, you must have studied about genetic endowments, how we developed to the present day Homo sapiens. You must have read before, or maybe if you have history, then you are reading in your history books also, like the modern human being is called Homo sapiens, the wise man. But we didn't develop in a day. It took millions of years, from Homo habilis to Homo erectus to Homo sapiens. There are many in between as well. Okay, so that's how we developed. So you also must have observed that people differ with respect to their physical and psychological characteristics. We are not the same. We are very unique individuals. We have different physical characteristics, we have different psychological characteristics. Okay, two human beings are never the same. So this uniqueness of individuals comes from interaction of their genetic endowments and environmental demands. Okay, the way they are brought up, and the way they interact with the environment, and the genes they carry from their ancestors, all these contribute to how an individual behaves in this world. Okay, so human beings developed some 200,000 years ago as a result of their continuous interaction with the environment. Evolution refers to gradual and orderly biological changes that result in a species from their pre-existing forms in response to changing adaptational demands of their environment. So like I already said that we human beings were not the way we are now. 2 million years ago, 2 million years ago, we were not Homo sapiens. We were different. We didn't develop so much at that point of time. So because of environmental demands, because of the conditions around us, we had to adapt to the environment, and that's why this process of evolution took place. Okay, human if you have studied in history, the Homo habilis was not an upright man. It couldn't walk upright, but after that, because of environmental demands, after some many years actually. Evolution doesn't happen in 1 or 2 years. After many 100,000 years later, it developed into Homo erectus, upright men. So because of the environmental demands, evolution happens. Okay, so evolution occurs through the process of natural selection. You know that members of each species vary greatly in their physical structure and behavior. The traits or characteristics that are associated with high rate of survival and reproduction of those species are most likely ones to be passed on to the next generation. Okay, so um, some traits are carried on to generations after generations, and some traits which are not important or not important for the survival of the organism, those traits are not present in the future generation anymore. Okay, so we carry only those traits which are important for our survival. The world is changing, the environment is changing, so there may be many traits which we may not require, which early men did. Okay, now we do not hunt. Early men used to hunt, we do not hunt. So there were some traits of early man which we do not need anymore. Like for example, early men were hunters and gatherers. Okay, and some like the earliest of early men, they didn't cook food, so they had to chew it, so they had some extra teeth. Okay, and for us those teeth are now disappearing because we don't need those teeth anymore. Okay, so it's like that. So whatever traits we do not need in the next or future generation, those traits go away. Okay, and only those traits survive which we need, but this place is very gradual and it happens slowly. Okay, so three important features of modern human beings which differentiate them from their ancestors like Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthals. So what are those characteristics? First one is a bigger and developed brain with increased capacity for cognitive behaviors like perception, memory, reasoning, problem solving, and use of language for communication. Okay, so early human beings, they were not, their brain structure was not very complex. Okay, so the way they perceive things or memorize things or reason things were different from how modern human beings do. They were not as wise, if as wise as today's human beings, today's Homo sapiens. Okay, then the ability to walk upright on two legs. So from Homo erectus, human beings started to walk upright, but before that human beings couldn't walk upright. And the third point is a free hand with a workable opposing thumb. So the early man, they didn't have a workable opposing thumb. Only Homo sapiens, we have a workable opposing thumb. These features have been with us for several thousand years. Okay, so like I already said, that evolution is not just a one day process, it happens over a period of 1,000 years. So the physical traits or the genetic traits that we have, it's there from many thousand years. Okay, a person in the 18th century is like the modern human being only. Okay, we are not different, but a person from 2 million years ago is different from the modern human being. Okay, so that is the difference. I have already mentioned that our behaviors are highly complex and more developed than those of other species because we have got a large and highly developed brain. So as we all know that human beings are wiser than other species in this world. So why it is so? Because we have a developed brain than other organisms in this world. Human brain development is evidenced by two facts. Firstly, the weight of the brain is about 2.35% of the total body weight. So our brain is 2.35% of the total body weight, and it is highest among all species. Like now, elephant is considered to be a very wise animal, and for elephant it's 0.2% of their whole body weight, as in the brain, the weight of the brain for elephants is 0.2% of their whole body weight. So you can see the difference. Elephant is considered to be one of the most wisest animal, and for them is 0.2% of their whole body weight, their brain size, and for human beings it's 2.35% of their total body weight. So this is how our human brains are developed. Okay, and secondly, the human cerebrum is more evolved than other parts of the brain. So in the later parts of the chapter we will be studying about different parts of the brain, and also we will be studying about cerebrum, the role of cerebrum. Then you will understand. Okay, so evolutions have resulted due to the influence of environmental demands. Like I already said, how the way your environment is, that's how the evolution takes place. For example, the ability to find food, avoid predators, as in those who are after you or going to attack you, and defend one's young ones, as in their offsprings, are the objectives related to the survival of organisms as well as their species. Okay, so the search of food, the need to safeguard their offsprings, all these factors all these factors contribute to evolution. The biological and behavioral qualities which are helpful in meeting these objectives increase an organism's ability to pass it on to the future generation through its genes. The environmental demands lead to biological and behavioral changes over a period of time. So like I already said, the way your environment is changing, your body has to also get adapted to the environmental demands. And if your biological structure is changing in your body, then obviously there will be behavioral changes. How you behave in the environment will also change over a long period of time, right? So now let us look at biological and cultural rules. So we know till now we have come to this conclusion that biological structures play a very important role in determining our behavior, and we inherit these biological structures from our ancestors in the form of developed body and brain. So of course we look like our ancestors, our physical characteristics and our psychological traits also. They say, right, that we inherit qualities, or whether it's a physical or psychological characteristics, from our ancestors only. We look like our parents or grandparents, and our grandparents look like their parents or grandparents. So we borrow, or we get all these characteristics from our ancestors. Okay, so now like I already said, the importance of biological basis becomes obvious. Okay, we can see in the form of psychological or physical traits. And if you can see, there are some people with major disabilities, physical or behavioral disabilities. So if we get some scans of their brain, we will see that their structure of the brain is different from a normal human being. So from this we can say that our brain structure, our biological structure contribute a lot to how we behave. Okay, so as human beings, we not only share a biological system but also certain cultural systems. So till now we were reading about how biological structures contribute to our behavior, but then see, culture also has to play a vital role in determining our behavior. Okay, so these cultural systems are different across various human populations. So culture provides us with different experiences and opportunities of learning by putting us in various variety of situations. Okay, so we have different kinds of experiences, we get different opportunities, we have different kinds of demands which influence our behavior considerably. So an Indian person is different from an American one. Okay, the way an Indian adult will behave will be very different from an American adult, right? So these influences become more potent and visible as we move from infancy to later years of life. So mostly when we human beings are an infant, we have the same kinds of characteristics. An American baby or an Indian baby behaves in almost the same ways, but as we are growing into our adulthood, whether you are an adolescent or an adult, you will see there is a striking difference between your behaviors. Okay, so now you all are adolescents. Okay, so the way you think and behave will be different an from an American adolescent. You all are going to be 18 in few years, right? Like after completing our class 12, we are going to turn 18. But then in Indian culture, at 18 years also we are dependent on our parents. But in American culture, by the time you are 18, you have to find your own sources of earning living on your own. So the way an 18-year-old American is going to think and behave will be different from an Indian 18-year-old person. Okay, so culture also plays a very important role in determining our behaviors, and not only your biological basis, but biological basis are very important. And in the later half of the chapter, we are going to learn about neurons, the nervous system, the endocrine system, how they contribute to the way we behave in our day-to-day lives, and also the cultural perspective.